Joan's super interesting presentation about focusing on using a stronger message that might eliminate a few people, but gives a much stronger feeling to people who are your core. It's an interesting thing. We sometimes try that in email, and it's there it's sometimes easier to test. Sometimes we've tested two different messages. I mean, we test a lot of different things, but we might test a little more hard-hitting thing that might turn a few people off, but motivate a lot of the core donors more. Test it in 2 cells of like 15,000, see which one performs better, and then roll it out. So this is this was an end-of-year email for the Humane Society of the United States. As you probably know, the Humane Society has a very large list, and a very large email list, about more than 1 million active emails. And obviously, it's a little bit like Covenant House. When you've got a big list and you've got a good package, you can raise a lot of money. Most of the effective, generally with online, typically special appeals or issues or things that are in the news that have urgency attached to them raise more money than more institutional appeals, which typically might work pretty well in the mail. I mean, we found a few clients where people really have this deep feeling about the organization itself, where we can make institutional appeals work. But typically, we get more results when we're working on some active campaign that's in the news. So this is an exception. I mean, this was an end-of-the-year message, one of probably 6 emails that went out in December last year for the Humane Society. And the year before, we had tested, the Humane Society has been very concerned that their typical direct mail donor is an elderly woman, relatively low income and low education. Online, it's still majority female, but much more gender balanced, and the donors are a generation or a generation and a half younger, much higher household income, better educated, and so forth. And they were very interested in testing the previous year a slideshow versus video, because they were concerned that some of their supporters wouldn't be comfortable seeing video, wouldn't have the bandwidth for video, etc. This year they went with video, but also wanted to sort of test it against slideshow. We said, look, by December 2007, almost anybody who's doing your stuff online can probably handle the video. With the rise of YouTube, video is widely accepted even among, my parents are in their 80s, and once I finally showed them how to get onto YouTube, they're like always sending me YouTube videos. So this was an appeal. This is the email, the top of the email, with obviously a video frame very prominent, and the arrow. We found it's really important to make it super clear to people this is a video by putting certainly some kind of a play arrow. And often a lot of our clients use YouTube, and while in some ways it can interfere with your brand, having that little YouTube logo tells people, oh yeah, this is a video I'm used to. It's not going to cause a problem. I'm used to YouTube. I mean, it's like a lot of things online. It's good to do what everybody else does because that's what your supporters are used to. But the video was really prominent here. It starts off, dear friend, it was a year of stunning victories for animals. Take a minute to celebrate these changes. Watch a video of our biggest victories for animals that we achieved together. We find, like a lot of people do in the mail, at the end of the year, one of the nice messages is just, here's what we accomplished this year, some sort of a recap of what went on. Even though sometimes even in December we can raise more money on some kind of a hot issue if there is one. And this was a year, for instance, when the Michael Vick case took place. That was a huge fundraising event for Humane Society of the U.S., ASPCA, lots of other people. There was one like 3-week period where the Humane Society added more than 200,000 email addresses to their files from the Michael Vick thing, both from a huge tele-friend of people getting a Humane Society email and passing on to their friends because of their really strong concern for this high-profile media case, and for people searching on Google. Michael Vick case, dogfighting, and ending up on a Humane Society page where they then signed up for email, made a gift, took some other kind of advocacy action. If you scroll down, this was a pretty long email. We thought the length, one issue in email is most people don't scroll, but it doesn't seem to, a longer email doesn't seem to hurt anything because most people won't scroll and see how long it is anyway. You do have some people who like to read stuff. So this went down, talked about some of their issues, signed by the CEO, Wayne Pacelli. When you click through, normally you can't make the video play right in the email, certainly not with YouTube type hosting. So you click through to this page. I'd actually set this up to play naively thinking that the Yale Club would have wireless, but they don't. recommend to anybody who wants to. Basically, it's like a 2-minute video. It's relatively long, and it's got a mix of thanking you, our supporter. It's got Wayne Pacelli, the CEO, in it. It's got Paul McCartney on the ice. It's got pictures of both dog fighting and the seals in the Canadian ice hunt. It talks both about, it has both that emotional tug from seeing the animals. It has, these are some of the victories we achieved with the Michael Vick case and so forth. So it touches a lot of, emotional as well as kind of legislative highlights. Then it goes to a donation page. They were using Get Active, which probably some of you or your clients use. They're switching to Convio, Convio bought Get Active. These were, at the time, Get Active did not allow you to actually personalize the donation page directly. You couldn't embed like an HPC code in the email and have it, then create a landing page with the gift amounts directly tied to the HPC, but we instead divided the file into like 4 segments and sent people whose HPC was 25 to a page that went 25, 35, 50, 500. People who'd given 150 went to a higher level page and so forth. We often send out a message and then we'll resend it a week or 2 weeks later, either to people who didn't open it the first time, as far as we can tell, or to people who didn't donate. And obviously you don't want to do this all the time. It can be somewhat irritating to people, but it's amazing how many people just don't see your email. I mean, if you a good open rate might be 20%, which means that 80% of the people didn't open it. And it could be they're just not interested in you, or they've got you're in an account that they never go to at Yahoo, or they've got you filtered off. It just could be they were busy that day and they got too much stuff. So we sent this twice. The first subject line was, "This animal video will warm your heart," and I think we tested some others. This tested best. And the resend, which was about 10 days later, "See our 9 biggest wins." Again, both these were tested and did better than what we were testing them against. The results in 2 sends, about 1.3 million messages were delivered. The total unique file size was about 1 million, but neither message was sent to the full file. About 3,600 gifts, average gift $68, which is higher than the average online gift at Humane Society. But I think, as we all know, December is a good time to get higher gifts. I mean, people are in the giving spirit. There's the giving spirit. There's the tax deduction issue. There's some families get together and make decisions about giving at that time of year. And it raised about almost $250,000. This is obviously just one part of Humane Society's end-of-year giving. They sent a whole range of other emails, including an email on the 29th, an email on the 31st. As probably a lot of you know, there's a huge amount of giving those last 2 days of the year. I mean, the open rates could be lower because some people are, not by their computer, although that's less and less true. But, people are really in the giving spirit, and there's that, people feel online, here's a place where I can make that tax-deductible gift by midnight, December 31st. There's also a huge amount of people who either because they get an email or they get a piece of direct mail or they just go to Humane Society or they go to Google and search Humane Society who make, sort of untrackable gifts on the website. They're kind of website center. What we learned, some of this is probably obvious, but, year-end video draws people. You can get that emotional reaction to video if you can get people to watch it in a way that you don't get typically to text, to a letter itself. Especially when you've got great video and when you've got, animals obviously are a huge draw for a very large number of people. And they can evoke a warm, happy response of a dog or a cat in someone's arms, or they can evoke, anger or sadness when you see a seal about to be clubbed or dog fighting or something like this. And a group like the Humane Society, can work on that full range of emotions. Big list works wonders. Obviously, if you've got a good package, whether it's online or in the mail, you've got more people to send it to, more qualified, either previous donors or prospects. There's huge leverage, especially given the extremely low cost of sending out email compared to sending out, postal mail. And, if you're not doing it, really consider sending again to non-openers. I mean, when we first kind of realized this was like 2 years ago, and by mistake, we sent out the exact same message with the same subject line to the same group of people like 10 days after it had been sent the first time. And we immediately, called the client. I'm not actually sure if it was our fault or somebody else. But anyway, we called the client and said, "Hey, big mistake here. We totally apologize." And then, of course, in the next 24 hours, that message raised like 80% of what the previous one had raised, and the client said, great, let's do this next week. So sometimes, sometimes mistakes are one of the greatest learning tools, but you still want to be careful. So thank you very much.